Welcome back to 6 Degrees of Separation. So, in a quick deviation of my planned set list, we have to go pick up the live band because our station's kind of hard to find, and that's just how live music works. And welcome back to 6 Degrees of Separation. We do have Oak and Gorski in the studio now after a minor delay. So, welcome, guys. Glad to have you guys on.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Sorry we're late.
No worries. We're used to that with live bands. Anyway, we just heard their new song from their album. Is it Love Destroyer?
Love Destroyer.
Yes.
That song's called If I Could Tell You.
Yeah, it's a really cool song. Glad you guys.
Thank you.
And let's see. How do you guys want to play another song, or you guys want to talk a little bit, or whatever you guys want to do, really?
Whatever you would like to do, really. It's your show.
Let's chat.
Okay.
All right.
Hi.
So, you guys have been talking to us in the studio a little bit about your background. How long have you guys been a band?
We have been doing this for about 5 years now, full time. So quite a while, it seems.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
What is your musical background?
He's twittering right now.
I just said UCLAradio.com now.
Twitter.
If you want to tune in. Our musical background, I started cello when I was 8. I was living in Houston at the time. And I guess I was your typical Asian American student. I was good at math and spelling. And
a string instrument.
Yes, obviously. And my teacher recommended me, and that's how the cello started.
Did you take that further? You took private lessons? Did you study it in college?
I did. I asked my stepmother for private lessons when I got to 6th grade, and that lasted through the end of high school. But I ended up going to Michigan for 1 year and then USC for the following 4 years.
Rawr, rawr. Yeah.
Is that your angry sound?
That was my anger.
Is it?
That was my half-hearted anger because their program is really good. I can't really be angry because my bass teacher is stand partners with the bass teacher at USC, so it's kind of hard to be like, oh no, you evil people that we're friends with.
You play upright bass.
I do.
I never would have guessed that. That's hot.
It's because we both read bass clef, so we have to be friends.
Yes, obviously. There's only so many of us.
Totally works with the theme tonight, too.
Yeah, actually, by the way, our theme for today was sexy songs. So be very excited that you're in the studio today because you're coming in.
I'm actually very surprised that we're here.
No, we don't. We only come to radio shows where the theme is sexy songs.
Well,
actually.
Excellent. We're glad that it worked out.
Yeah.
That's on my writer.
And how about you? Did you start taking guitar when you were young too?
Yeah, this is it. I started playing guitar when I was like 16, and I used to take lessons from an old lady down the street from me, and she would bust out her flamenco guitar and teach me like Bob Dylan covers.
Bob Dylan flamenco? Please say that's true.
He was like, "What do you want to learn today?"
That sounds awesome. How did you guys decide to be a band? Like, what about the cello made you go, oh yeah, we can be in a band together and be rocking? And
we can do that.
Yeah,
that's funny. We never really thought about that intentionally. When I met Ed, I was playing guitar. I was a singer-songwriter in LA, which is really original. And I met him, and he was working for a record label at the time. And after a while, we just were hanging out and we're just jamming on guitars. And gradually, he was like, "Why don't you pull your cello out?" So I pulled that out, and
that's very sexual sounding.
It was.
He gets whipped it out.
Hey man, pull your cello out.
That's how I remember it.
Let's see how this goes down.
Yeah, and he asked me to pull my cello out, and I did, and I was very sloppy and very unprofessional with it. It was totally not what would be expected.
Oh my goodness!
But after about 3 months of just not being that awesome as a band, actually really sucking, we started to be okay. And I was singing, playing the same songs, but playing cello as a lead and bass instrument, and he was playing guitar. And 6 months later, that's when this current band started. So
How would you say that your instrumentation affects the way that you write your music? Do you still kind of think of writing from a pop perspective, or do you take your experience as a classically trained musician or as someone who's taken flamenco lessons from the little lady down the street? Do you think this really influences the way you write your music?
No, not in the beginning stages of it all, because we write on guitar all the time, so we're more from the pop spectrum of things, and then the cello comes in later, filling out the space. Just that's when the classical training comes in, I would say.
And usually it's Ed actually recording the demos in Logic, and he usually has a good idea of the cello arrangements. And he's still an up and coming producer in LA, but he probably has more experience recording cello than I'd say most producers out there, including like the big ones.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to play another track from your latest CD.
Do you guys have a preference?
Whatever name looks nice to you will be fine.
Fiery.
New York.
New York's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I like New York. It's a cool place.
And they're in studio because Jake saw them live at
the Mint last Tuesday. You guys put on a great show, by the way. I didn't really know what to expect from a cello and guitar and then backup drums and bass, so it was really way better than the next band.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot, man.
I would just like to point out that even if you don't enjoy this music, which if that's true, what are you doing? Come on. Get better ears. Get better ears. The cover of their last CD, Good Advice, Bad Advice, has them on horses with their instruments like they're going into battle, and it's it's an amazing cover. So even if you don't like the music, you should buy it solely based on the cover.
It's based on a real event that actually happened.
Yeah.
We were horseback.
Although
we were
naked.
naked.
It was in Texas, if I recall correctly. And I had a
Makes
cello
sense.
strapped to my back, as I normally do.
Always. We don't leave home without a cello strapped to our backs.
Yeah. Writing it all epically.
Amazing. I've noticed that on the back of all 3 CDs that we have of yours right now, it says Cello Rock Records. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, that's our front.
Yeah, it sounds a lot bigger than it really is. It's really just Ed and I. It's our LLC.
I like that. I'm going to start doing that.
Boo, it's like our Halloween costume that goes all year.
With a P.O. box.
Yes. It's expensive.
Yeah, it's a really expensive P.O. box.
Excellent. Can you talk a little bit about the last album? Where did you guys record it? Did you produce it yourself, or did you have some buddies in on it?
No, we went to Nashville to work on this record, and it's actually some old friends. A guy I went to high school with, who went to school down in Nashville, Middle Tennessee State for recording engineering, and his friend Brandon Epps and Sam Martin, and they work on a lot of the big country records down there. And it just happened to be a good timing where everybody was out of town and nobody was working on records in their studio, so they said come down, and we just recorded down there.
Yeah, it was July, I think, last year. About 10 days in July we went down there.
When all the big country artists are on tour.
Yeah.
Making that money.
Did you use in-studio musicians, because I hear a couple drum tracks and...
The drummer, Jeremy Latito, he plays with Jars of Clay.
Oh, really?
They've gone back to the 90s, if you guys have heard of them. Bass player Winston Harrison played with Gabe Dixon Band, who has some really brilliant
Awesome.
stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know
Gabe
if you guys have heard of them, but you should check them out. And then Brady Beard.
Brady Beard, yeah. The Clam.
What's his background? He played
He's a
keyboard on
genius.
this.
That's all.
Yeah, he's in a musical family. Adam Beard plays with Will Hogue.
Yeah, his brother.
Yeah,
It's a talented family.
definitely.
All the guys that played on this record were just incredible.
Yeah,
The producers
really,
are just all really talented.
Sam
yeah.
Martin too, Brandon Epps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you go about organizing the extra parts? Because when you play live, it's usually just the two of you. How would you say that playing live as a duo versus kind of recording this full-length CD as a band kind of differed in your sound?
It was just a lot of back and forth with the producers. Talking about the arrangements and what would happen, and then we had a day beforehand, or it wasn't even a day. It was like the morning of the first tracking day when the band was there. Well, there was only one day that the band was there, and we tracked all the band parts in one day. And they just came in and we played the songs live for them, just the two of us, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, I know what I'm gonna do." And then one take later, they had nailed it, and it was just beautiful and perfect.
That's
wrote on a
amazing.
napkin, like they made a mark on a napkin, and it was.
They're like,
I was going to
that,
say, they
knew
have
X,
this really
circle
interesting
X.
notation system for the studio musicians in
Yeah,
Nashville. I know
Nashville.
specifically for the bass because I'm a bassist,
Play
so
bass, yeah.
I know this kind of thing. And it's interesting because they don't actually use traditional, like, Western notation. They have, like, certain things, and they don't even use what you'd consider, like, a jazz chordal system. They don't put, like, C7 here. They have this completely different system that for some reason helps them learn it in a day and, like, create these really intricate, interesting parts.
Huh.
Isn't that weird but amazing? I mean,
incredible.
I guess that's kind of what I think of as going in and I'm gonna not know anything about this band and go in and record for a day, and you guys are gonna be happy with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
the
guess
session players down there are just
Amazing.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think of LA as being, you know, like recording capital of the world. There's all this music going on here. There's all these different record companies, but I don't think any of them
No, I
can
don't-
play
yeah.
like that here.
No,
Nashville is just it's sick with the musicians that are down there. It's crazy.
And what about your previous albums? Did you guys go to Nashville then too?
No, the two before the current one were both recorded in Los Angeles. The first of the two, which is Vienna to Venice, was recorded by a guy named Dwayne Barron, who his claim to fame, I guess you could say, was Ozzy Osbourne's biggest solo album, No More Tears. I don't know if your generation remembers that record, but he did Ozzy, he did Motley Crue, he did Poison. Tracy Chapman is probably the closest thing he did to us.
I was gonna say I love like going from Ozzy Osbourne to like, oh, we're gonna record cello now. I hope you don't mind.
Exactly. It shows how diverse he is, though. Like Dwayne
Talented.
is brilliant.
Like maybe if he did like Apocalyptica in the middle, it would kind of make
Well,
sense.
no, he did work on was it Apocalyptic?
No. Not
Rasputina.
Rasputina. Is it
Oh, I was gonna say, I was
Yeah,
about to say Rasputina. Oh, now that makes sense.
When
Okay,
he
I
worked on
understand.
our record, he had a partner named Jimmy Boyle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
who had helped produce Rasputina's last couple of records.
Wow,
with him.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you know who Rasputina is too.
Yeah.
That brings me
too.
joy.
Stretch vote.
Zoe Keating was in that group for a minute.
I feel
But
like
now she's superstar on her own. Anyway.
the vocals of Rasputina are very like Joanna Newsom and the kind of ethereal, weird fairiness, but then they come in with like these crazy cello lines. Anyways, I'm getting off topic.
Do you guys want to play another track, or
Sure.
do you guys have? I mean, we have the new CD and the second CD.
We have like
queued
8 records
right now.
that we
So,
got for you. So.
do you have any?
The second
Al-
one?
there.
Which CDs do they have?
We have the Good Advice, Bad Advice, and the new album. And we have this one we can put. The first one we can put in also.
Ooh.
Oh man, decisions.
Plays Summer's Kiss.
Yeah, Summer's Kiss.
Play the first track off that one real quick. That's kind of like our background.
Will you talk a little bit about that track before we put it on?
Yeah, we were just talking about Dwayne Barron, who did the Ozzy record, and that was actually our second album that we did. The song was kind of written on a stretch of road between Houston and North Carolina in 2006. I would say it's around January. And it was one of the first songs written on this, which was our second album as a band, the first that Ed and I wrote. And I just remember that whole tour thinking that I had to get back to LA, and I really wanted to hear Dwayne produce this song. And this is the result of it, is what you hear on the first track of this record.
We are in the studio right now with Ken Oak as well as Edward Gorski. Welcome back to UCLAradio.com.
We're just taking pictures of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Excellent.
Don't mind us.
Before Analog Girl, we heard the first track from the Ken Oak Band album. The album's called Vienna to Venice, and the song was called Summer's Kiss.
So you guys are about to go on a tour after this, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember talking to you guys before your show at the Mint, and you had some like crazy luck to. You guys are going to Asia, and you guys had like some crazy coincidence in Santa Monica to get there. Can you guys just like tell that story again? Because it's still crazy to me that happened.
It was actually a family that is from Japan. They live there, not in Tokyo, but about 3 hours north in an area called Fukushima. And they basically bring people from the States, well, specifically Native Americans, like medicine men, out to Japan. And apparently there's a market for that. Like people come out and like see this medicine man do his thing. and then they'll bring Japanese people out to America to reservations. So that's kind of like their trade. And we're the first band that they've seen that they wanted to bring back to Japan. So they hosted our trip last year, October, November, and they're bringing us back in about 2 weeks.
Nice. And you guys obviously had a good time last time you went to Asia or Japan.
It was awesome.
Nice. Are we gonna do this?
What is going on?
I know something exciting is going on. Where can one purchase your album? This is not shameless promotion.
Well, you can purchase our album.
No, please do it in that voice.
Ladies and gentlemen,
No, he's got this voice down.
you can purchase Oak and Gorski's records at cellorock.com or iTunes music stores worldwide. Just search Oak and Gorski.
How do you spell Gorski for those of us who?
Oh, it's
would not know.
OAK or ampersand, depending, and GORSKI.
Not SKY.
Not SKY, SKI.
confused.
That's a different
Very-
band. You don't want to buy their records.
Many people do that for some reason.
Just buy
It's not.
ours.
There's no Y.
Yeah. Hi.
And for those of us who are listening from Japan,
Hello.
Hi.
go see
Hi,
the
Arigato.
Yeah.
Ichini-sanshi.
Daijobu?
That means, are you okay?
Yes.
And then if you see Daijobu
Daijobu
back, it
you're,
means I'm
you're
fine.
okay.
That's weird.
It's the ultimate phrase.
Are you okay? Are you
Daijobu?
okay?
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for listening to UCLAradio.com 6 Degrees of Separation. We will be back next week with another exciting show. Hurrah!